Welcome back to another CoCoville Tuesdays. On this episode, we're going the polar opposite of last time. Last time we were pretty high energy. This time we're gonna go as low energy, monotonous as possible because, well, to be honest, the high energy wasn't super well received. And I've been told I have a voice that puts people to sleep. So this is the ASMR episode. So you better get yourself all tucked in, ready for bed. Because it's going to be slow. In this one, I just lose my mind, is all that happens in this one. I fight so hard with the highways and the traffic and the businesses not having enough goods to sell. So my first thought process was this: I'll just put a highway from basically the north side and just bypass half the city and have it go over to the newer section by the water, which was of course instantly tricky because I don't really own much space there and I didn't want the highway to be right beside the original area, so I had to put it underground. And then I had to cross the water and then cross back again, which ended up being quite tricky, but I think it kind of worked out in terms of design. In terms of actually solving the problem, it didn't really help that much, but yeah, I end up, for the most part in this episode, just putting basically highway interchanges. So just places for the highway to connect, either to another highway or to smaller kind of offshoot roads, just because I have way too many trucks going right through the middle of the city, which just slows everything down. Businesses aren't getting what they need quick enough and stuff like that. So trying to get it to go around would be ideal, but the kind of traffic AI in this isn't great. Trucks will just take the shortest distance rather than the fastest or most efficient route. So rather than going around on this new route where they're avoiding a lot of traffic and actually getting where they need to be quicker, they're still going the other way because it's technically shorter. But yeah, I decided, for some reason my editing software is being really slow, but I decided to just use the highway itself as an off-ramp to join to the other highway there rather than using just the one-lane ramps because there's not enough traffic flow. On the other end, I kind of had to, otherwise it just would have looked ridiculous, but we did end up filling out the rest of this area with industry, just regular industry, non-specialized. It kind of worked, and this kind of area on the right we did as well, just because we do still have so many businesses that don't have anything on them really. And I tried to kind of, I realized everything was way to the right, so I tried to balance it by bringing more residential and stuff down to the south to see if maybe that would kind of divert some of the traffic. Didn't really work out super great, but we did need to fill out this area anyway, so we got that done with basically all just high density residential just to get more people in the city so that we could get to, I think it's 60,000 is the airport. And right now we're at roughly 53. We did have a drop for a while because a lot of businesses, or industry rather, all got abandoned and people started leaving. Commercial didn't have anything. There was a lot of dead people because for some reason my cemeteries and crematoriums weren't really doing the job. For some reason my previewer is just having a heck of a time. Probably because Steam is, I would imagine, downloading something in the background, but I'm pretty sure as soon as I go to stop that, it's going to stop my previewer from playing, so I'm just going to roll with it for now. But yeah, this is the other industrial area. We fill that out pretty much entirely with a design that by the end of the episode pretty much does what it needs to. You can see there's a lot of movement basically from where that is to the cargo terminal. So I might move the cargo terminal in a later episode just to the other side of the river and just see if we can get all those trucks kind of away from the city center. And this is the start of my next nightmare. Basically, I had this intersection right at the off ramp and then 2 others right after it, and it was just getting way too busy. Once it got off to the right by the offices, it was fine, but until that point, it was not great at all. So I fought with this so much, just trying to, because one, I don't know why I did it, but I put such small roads that I basically had to tear up. Like anytime I upgraded a road, it would just destroy everything that was there. So at first I thought, well, I'll just put bigger roads. Surely that'll be fine. Boy, was I wrong. It was not fine. We still ended up with these 2 areas having such a big backlog. It aesthetically looked nice. Like we had the railway lines going over and stuff like that. It did look very industrial, as it should. But the main issue with this intersection is there's also, like that's the main spot that a lot of residential stuff, people, not stuff, are driving through. So it's not just transports. And all the external transports that are trying to go to businesses are also stuck there. So it wasn't working out very well. I thought maybe I could put basically a road underneath this bridge and then just connect that to the highway and hope that most of the trucks would go there. The train was being just a nightmare, so I had to try and fix that. I'm not a fan of editing train in this game at all because it usually doesn't do what you want it to. I just tried to level it out basically because the quay flattened. And I just had that random basically hole right under the bridge and just trying to get the road to go down it. But I had to actually, like you can see there, I had to build the road first and then attach it to the existing road. But it still didn't want to work right on that corner, so I ended up having to kind of go around it, which isn't ideal for flow, but had to be done. And then I figured eventually I'm going to build on this side of the highway, so I may as well just have a road going parallel to it most of the way. Don't end up doing a ton with that this episode, but... And then I thought, well, I'll have the ramp over there, and then I said, forget it. I'll just have it right over the river here. It looks a bit goofy, but it kind of works, so... It did pick up some traffic, but it didn't stop people from using this one nearly enough. I'm still not entirely sure what I'm going to do. You can see here I save because I was about to do something bold. I end up just tearing out everything. And I think the end product, even though it took forever, ended up working out. So my idea was just a traffic circle over the highway, and then the highway would basically ramp off of that into the circle, and you just have merging rather than stops, which never really work out. And then it became a matter of where can I put the circle where, one, it's not going to somehow hit the road underneath it, because in this game engineers can't just put pillars not in the middle of a highway. So I had to fight with that for way longer than I should have. I hope they kind of figure out how to build multi-level things a bit better in Skylines too. I don't really have high hopes, but yeah, what I ended up having to do was just tear out the highway itself. I put that little dot in the center just as some reference so I can make almost a circle. It ended up being more of a donut, but it worked. And then fighting with the highway to get it to go underneath was fun, because again, those pillars can't be moved for some reason. They just can't figure it out. So I had to kind of make a little janky squeeze for the highway. And then this ramp just did not want to go. I got so tired of seeing the space already occupied when the space that's occupied is the road I'm trying to build onto. It just, you can see it here too, it just didn't want to put the road where I was picking because it was intersecting with itself somehow. But yeah, in theory, this worked. but in reality, it jammed up almost instantly because everything was just stopping at that next intersection, anyways. So, didn't really solve any problems. And the ramp was also pretty short, so the cars were backing up onto the highway. Putting myself to sleep this time. Yeah, and then I had the idea, well, what if I just put an access point to the highway over here? And I realized suddenly that that entire industrial area I built earlier had no water. So yeah, I wanted to put ramp access over here and just kind of plan out how things were going to go. And then I realized how ridiculous the height difference is here, and it's just going to be a pain doing anything fancy. So I just stuck a road right to the highway, basically. And yeah, no one used it, like, at all. I don't think 5 cars go over it for the duration of this episode. But yeah, the main issue is that where we just put that traffic circle, and then I looked at this and realized there's no way to get across, like from basically where you see the great officing to what ended up being called Ivy Hills. I'll probably change that after. So again, I tear out this whole thing, and I wanted to do the same idea, just have a circle. Wow, the energy is insane. And I made a half decent circle, and then I was told that the slope was too steep, and I couldn't get this road to work very well at all. And I thought that just looked stupid, so I got rid of it. And I also realized that I had the highway the wrong way, so everyone would be making lefts, which would just make merging slightly more difficult, because it is a 2-lane road that's coming up to it, so it would kind of just break everything. And I have these 2 incineration plants here, so I had to kind of move them a little bit, but they still, wow, they still end up in the way, basically. So yeah, but we do get there. Spoiler. We do end up with the circle, and I think this one worked a lot better than the other one did. It was actually moving traffic. It wasn't just all the traffic going to one spot and it basically being pointless. I don't know why it did that. Instead of it just being a nice even slope, it goes sharp up, flat, with a whole bunch of dirt lifted, and then sharp up again. So it just looks horrible, but that's the terrain system, so can't do much about it. But yeah, there's a lot of kind of cross flow. People going basically left to right, which is good. That's what I needed for quite a while. And I realized that fire trucks actually stop at lights in this for no reason, which is pretty stupid. And we just bump up the water and sewage handling here a bit. I still have power lines running over because I have nothing built this way. And underground power lines just aren't a thing that you can make in this game for some reason. So we still have that super long line of power lines. And then, yeah, for some reason there's still a plague happening in the city. I put those down and then realized they're on an off-ramp from the highway, so nothing would get to them. So I built 2 more of those, but the pollution is going to be a pain, so it's not great. I have, apparently, if you look, a whole bunch of availability and stuff. It's just they're not getting picked up, so I just had to spread out, put more, and then kind of made a bit of a base for how that next area is going to go. That might be next episode. I haven't decided if I'm going to put the airport there or on the upper side. And this is the last nightmare that took me. Let's see, this is about 10 minutes times 4. No, that can't be right. It took me probably half an hour just trying to do this last little piece here. I ended up tearing everything apart. Like, from the looks of it, it looks really nice. Like, it looks like a very industrial area. But the fact that everything else is just suffering because of it kind of sucked. And for this, I thought, well, what if I put another circle? But I don't really have room for a circle, so what if I make it an oval? And boy, the game did not like that one bit. it can figure out that a circle needs to stay a circle, but it, for some reason, just when you have it shaped like this, it'll just basically make a T intersection for no reason, where traffic has to stop in the oval, which defeats the purpose. And this, it just wouldn't let me put a straight road. That simply isn't allowed, because then the road will intersect with itself, which is, what roads do. They're kind of attached most of the time. So I had to make a bigger section than a smaller one. You can see there it made a T intersection, which doesn't work because then traffic has to stop. Yeah, I just got rid of everything in this area and it still didn't work, so I put the road somewhere else. And because I did that, I end up with 2 roads side by side, which isn't really good at all. And this was the same thing. I just could not put a road straight for some reason. It's not allowed. I guess cities don't have straight roads wherever the developers are from. Colossal Order. And the slope is not very much different at all, but it just wasn't working, so I had to tear it all back again. And I don't think this stays, does it? Maybe I actually did build a circle. Wow. I'm still not entirely satisfied with the end product, but I know it does work. Yeah, it gets a real wavy road there that realistically would not work at all. And then I had to reconnect everything, so I had to reconnect the railway. I'm still not entirely sure if it's connected right. I think it is. I meant to pay attention during this to see if it was, but I'm pretty sure it is. And then I couldn't get this railway line to really connect. Made a nice little bridge, though, at the end. So it ends up being a very busy intersection, but it does still look alright. The problem is there's that intersection between the 2 circles where everything is still stopping. So what I should do is just make this one giant circle, and I might do that next episode. I'll end up losing a lot of squares, but I think it'll help traffic. Or rather, I really hope it will help traffic, because if it doesn't, I'm in trouble. So yeah, that'll probably be the next episode's nightmare. We did just unlock the airport there, so it was 60,000, yeah. And I just wipe out the whole area here, putting in better roads. So at least now it's kind of future-proofed. But it does the fun little thing where half the squares just don't get filled back in, so you end up with a bunch of little tiny buildings with empty space around them. Oh, yeah, and I looked at the traffic and realized we have nightmares everywhere. But eventually I'll just have to spend an entire episode on. There's that circle that is kind of working, but it's not, because cars will not use 3 lanes in this game. They'll all just wait in the right lane, and then right before the right turn, they'll move into the left lane. So it was frustrating, but we got through it. I hope you're all asleep now. If you're not, put a thumbs up. And yeah, that pretty much does it. It's just me fishing for thumbnails, and I thought, what if I spin really fast? Is that going to look really, really fast? And it looks like it does, so that's cool. But yeah, that's about it. See you next time. Bye.